Welcome to the Bold Life Movement podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rich, and each week I bring you inspiring stories from real people to help you live a more passionate and intentional life. You'll learn how to up-level in everything from relationships, entrepreneurship and leadership, to spirituality, sexuality, and yes, even money. If you're interested in raising your game to be a better business owner, a better lover, and a happier, more fulfilled human, then you're in the right place. No more living on autopilot. You are just an episode away from a bolder, better, more fulfilling life. Awesome. So I'm here with Kevin Dubrosky, who is the author of The Whale Vomit Method. I'm not sure if that's reversed or not, but essentially this is the simplest, fastest, and easiest way to stand out from the competition, sell your stuff for top dollar, and sleep like a baby. So, Kevin, I'm super excited to have you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, definitely. So, Kevin and I met at a certified high performance coaching training. And when I looked at his website and I saw what he was up to with the whale vomit method, I was like, that's really interesting and really unique. I want to pick his brain about it. And so here we are. So, Kevin, can you tell me how you came up with the metaphor and what it means for people who aren't familiar?
Do you want the 1 minute version, the 3 minute version, or the 7 minute version?
Let's go 3 minutes.
So I was on my kitchen table like 5 years ago, and a friend of mine told me the story, and I could not believe the story, and I made them tell it to me again, and I Googled it, and I was like, how do I not know about this?
About the whale vomit story.
About the whale vomit thing. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Tell us what it means. Okay,
so the sperm whale is the largest carnivore on the planet. It's like that Moby Dick whale with the big rectangular head.
Yep.
60 feet long. It's just an amazing creature. It's got the biggest head, the biggest brain, the biggest teeth. It makes the loudest sound of any creature on the planet. Like divers who swim near it say that when it starts to click, echolocation, it feels like you're being kicked in the chest by a horse. Just the sound waves. So just as like amazing creature. Anyway, it also happens to be the deepest diving creature, mammal, I guess. And on one breath of air, it can go down for 70 minutes. And when it's down like 3,000, 4,000 feet in the blackness of the ocean, what it's hunting to eat is giant squid.
Mm-hmm. But why is that bad?
So the only problem with slurping down like a 30-foot giant squid is that the giant squid themselves have razor-sharp beaks and these crazy like hooks on their tentacles that they eat prey with. And when the sperm whale is like eating this thing, it's almost as if you and I were eating a bowl of Jell-O with razor blades in it.
Okay.
It can actually like disembowel the sperm whale from the inside out, which is bad.
I really want to encourage people to watch the video version of this because Kevin's description is very animated and I can't help but laugh. Please continue.
Are you saying this is not animated right now?
No, it is. You're making me laugh. Please continue.
Anyway, so the sperm whale, to combat this problem with like slurping down like razor sharp calamari chunks, to combat it, it actually has a digestive mechanism built in so that anytime it detects something razor sharp, it coats it with goo and vomits it back into the ocean. And so this liberated piece of whale vomit between the size of a grapefruit and a soccer ball will be floating on the ocean waves for like weeks and months and years, and the seawater will actually change its chemical composition. And it will begin to acquire the properties of a fixative. And for over a century, fixatives have been used by the perfumery industry to stabilize volatile compounds. Like perfume, as you probably know, is made primarily of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with having alcohol as a base for perfume is that it evaporates. So a fixative locks it in and makes sure it doesn't evaporate, so that when you spend like $400 on a little thing of perfume, it stays the same quantity for years on your dresser.
Yeah. So why is this valuable? Why do we want to be whale vomit?
Yeah. So whale vomit is incredibly valuable. It's relevant to the perfumery industry. It is unique in that it's the most powerful fixative on the planet. Even synthetic variations of it are not as effective in terms of fixativeness. And as you can imagine, since 1985, when the world said, whales are our friends, you can't just go out and hunt a sperm whale. You have to find a piece of ambergris, which is the technical word for whale vomit, floating on the ocean or washed up on the beach. So it's rare. And because it is highly valuable, incredibly unique, and shockingly rare, it is also what, Kimberly Rich?
Valuable?
So it's valuable.
We already got valuable. Put me on the spot, Kevin.
I know. You're putting me on the spot. So it's valuable, it's unique, and it's rare. And because of those three things, it's also crazy expensive.
Expensive.
Yeah. So if your viewer, welcome viewer of this whale vomit conversation, was to Google, sperm whale vomit, you'll find stories of 10-year-old kids walking their dog on the beach, finding a chunk of whale vomit this big and selling it for $100,000. Because sperm whale vomit sells on the open market for $9,000 a pound. So the book is about how to follow the same 3-step method with your stuff, no matter what your stuff is, whether it's a product or service. Again, by being highly valuable, relevant to the people you want to serve, being different from other similar options in the market, and then manufacturing and tapping the power of scarcity to extract the maximum revenue with a clear conscience.
So what are some examples of whale vomit brands that the average listener is already aware of?
Yeah, so the book is full of tons of them.
42.
Yeah, 42 to be precise. But I mean, I have a folder on my computer here of like 100 more.
Let's just name 3.
Name 3. So in the world of athletics, I mean, think of the highest paid football player on the planet, or soccer player. Why does he get paid $1 gazillion? Because he has unique skills, because he has incredible value to the team, and because there's only one of him. So he gets top dollar because there's only one of that guy. Why, when the iPhone came out, were they able to charge triple what everybody else charged? Because it was relevant, it was unique, and it was rare at the beginning especially. And actually, that's interesting because for mass market products, you can also tap the power of scarcity by creating special edition versions of it. And so sometimes you see Apple playing that game with like certain variations of their model.
Yeah, I was thinking luxury cars too, like certain limited edition vehicles.
Exactly. So like Maserati has this quattraport with a special designer interior. There's only like 100 of them, this Ermenildo Zegna interior. That's how they do it with mass market things. Any industry you look at, the most expensive stuff in that industry follows that same formula. Relevant value, unique, and rare. That's how you extract the maximum revenue.
And what if someone's listening and what they're currently offering is somewhat of a commodity, but they want to be selling something top dollar? They want to be a whale vomit brand. What can they do?
Well, they have to figure out, first of all, what does the person who's buying their stuff want the most from something like them?
Something in their industry.
Yeah. So like, for example, here's like a blanket from, that's on my bookcase. If you were selling blankets, you got to ask yourself, okay, so does the person I'm selling blankets to, do they want warmth? Do they want comfort? Do they want a bold color that isn't available anywhere else? And then start there. So you have to figure out, first of all, what's relevant to the person that I'm selling to? What do they want from the thing that I'm selling? And again, there's basically, even within like a niche like blanket world, there's all kinds of different types of consumers with different needs and preferences.
Totally.
So figure out who you want to do business with, then deconstruct what do they want, what's relevant to them, then figure out how to be unique in delivering that value proposition, and then limit supply beneath demand. And when possible, like feed and nurture demand to even create like overwhelming demand, which boosts your price.
Can we go meta for a second? How is your book an example of the principles that it's teaching?
I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, so my book is the only book that teaches you how to be whale vomit.
Step 1, unique.
So that's the unique part. Yep, the only. The relevance part comes with that little byline at the bottom, the highest possible price with a clear conscience. And it's that combo that appeals to most of the readers of my book. Because it's easy to gouge the market. It's easy to be a bad person and like to rip people off. But what if you want to be a good person? Like, what if you care what people think of you? What if you're setting an example for your kids and your family and your friends, and you want to feel amazing about what you're serving, but also charge the highest possible price? I mean, you and I are, certified high performance coaches. We paid a significant amount of money to obtain that certification, but we don't resent that investment.
No.
Because
it's worth it.
Right. So he found a way, to extract the maximum level of revenue from our wallet, and we're happy. We're like delighted.
Yeah.
For that investment. So that's what we have to do. And
I would go as far as to say my clients are as well, with the investment that they're making by working with me.
Exactly. And so there's no upper limit even to what's possible when you follow this formula with your clients.
So one of the things that I really like about not just the book, but your brand in general, is how you let people get to know you and how you create, this like unique Kevin voice, which is a lot of humor. So you use a lot of humor both in the cover copy, but also if you visit your website, it's like, hey, internet visitor, welcome to my little consultancy. And it's like, it's punchy and it's cute. So what about people who want to use novel language or images or humor, but they just don't think of themselves as creative or as funny? How can they stand apart? It's a tough question.
I think everybody is funny. I think that sometimes we just need somebody to laugh at our jokes once or twice to be reminded, oh yeah, I can make people laugh. And it's the same with creativity. I mean, all of us loved playing with Lego when we were little. None of us stopped. All of us drew in coloring books. All of us could play outside for hours, I think we sometimes limit ourselves and we're like, I'm not creative. Kimberly is creative. She's amazing what she's doing, but I'm not like Kimberly. I wish I'm just boring. But that's not true. All of us are creative. It's just that creativity
looks different.
Sorry, what's that?
I said it looks different on everyone.
It looks different, but it's also something you can nurture and feed and grow, right? So you can become funnier. You can become more creative if you feed it and you work at it.
Yeah. And you're doing that in your personal life right now. I know we were talking before the interview started about the painting that's on your shelf behind you. And I know that you're also working to learn the piano because you're trying to proactively nurture your creativity. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Walking the walk, Kevin.
I'm trying. Yeah,
there is no try.
Sorry, I am doing. You are right. Thank you for the coaching. I'll try.
So one of the things I really liked in the book was the concept that it only takes 3 adjectives for someone to form a brand personality. And the examples that you gave were really great. Can you speak to that a little bit more?
It's funny when we describe somebody to a friend, if we give them like one attribute, if we say, they're generous, our friend's like, okay, that sounds nice, Joe sounds nice, he's generous. And if we say he's generous, but he's also thoughtful, then Joe becomes more alive. But if we say he's generous, thoughtful, and hilarious, our brain goes, oh, I get it, and creates this 3-dimensional version of Joe. And the same is true when we kind of anthropomorphize our brand. Like, we can make our brand come to life if we can figure out 3 different adjectives to describe it. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of up to us. We can create anything. We can be our own. We can, our brand is our Frankenstein. So we can create whatever we think would meet the needs of the market, or even not even brand. If you want to think like more micro, we can do that with a product as well.
And how are people able to communicate what those adjectives are that they want to be perceived as to the market?
Well, the beautiful thing is that once you figure out who you want to be, then that informs every other decision. So it informs the design of the packaging, it informs the language used to promote the product, it might inform the font selection, it might inform the colors that you use, the kinds of conversations that you start to draw attention to it, the way you interact with your customers. So it's the beautiful thing is once you define who you want to be in terms of personality, that kind of it just makes everything else easier and gives you like a compass to follow to say, what would a fun brand do? They would do this. They would not be boring. They would not be, what's the word? Aloof. They would be warm and human. And maybe you want to be stuffy and aloof and like exclusive.
Totally.
So then that wouldn't be funny and lighthearted. And it would be like intense and like private and guarded and like,
I love that we're doing this over video. It adds a whole new element. Kevin is so animated. It makes it really fun. What words would you use to describe the whale vomit method? No pressure.
The book or the method?
The brand.
Okay, I need some clarification. Do you mean my agency, which has existed till now, or do you mean
Let's go with the book.
The book.
Yeah.
Well, what are 3 words I use to describe the book? Practical, thought-provoking, and unexpected.
I like that. Yeah, that resonates.
You can evaluate me. I'm exposed. So, I mean, how do you feel I'm doing with those?
Practical, thought-provoking, unexpected. Yeah, I think that's good. I was really trying to come up with what word would highlight the aesthetics of the book because I know that they were so intentional. I mean, you can see on the cover, if you're watching this on video, I'm holding it up, that there's like this really beautiful watercolor of a whale. And then the font choice is really unexpected, the way that you lay out the title on the cover. But it's also still clean and approachable. And then inside you have a really unique design. And in the chapter where you talk about being unique, the text is a completely different alignment. It's like horizontal or vertical. How would you even say? I don't even know how to describe that. It's sideways. So I think that unexpected and practical are really, really apt. Funny.
Good.
Yeah, I think there's an element to it where it's like, oh, a person wrote this. This isn't a textbook. This was written by like a person who studied these principles. And you like maybe want to grab a drink with this person, like an expensive drink. You know what I mean? Which I think is cool because the whole point is that you want people to have like a feeling about the personality that your brand has. And hopefully that feeling's positive. And so I do think that the book does a great job of illustrating what it is that it's teaching.
Appreciate the kind words.
You're welcome. So in one chapter, you talk about how to stand apart from the competition and protect yourself from it by creating this like metaphorical moat around yourself and filling it with these dangerous crocodiles. And one of them is posture. There's like the metaphor of this crocodile that is what your brand stands for. And you use Chanel as the example. What about people who aren't yet clear what their brand stands for? How can they start to figure that out? Like, what can they do to become more clear on that? What if they have too many products or they want to serve too many people?
Well, then I guess you have 2 options. You can either create... Oh, sorry. A little bit of fire truck action here in Toronto.
This is real life.
Real life. They have 2 options. They can either differentiate and be unique by product or maybe product suite or by brand. So I guess you have to figure out which one would be best for what you're trying to accomplish. If you have this goal of building this big kind of collection of divergent products to serve a bunch of different kinds of people, it would probably make sense to go separate with each product in terms of posture. And
yeah, that makes sense. You also say, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and if you want to keep it tight, lean and mean, then go with the brand. Like position the brand as a purveyor of X. Mm-hmm. Use that to inform the products underneath the umbrella.
I like that. So You also talk about how a Whale Vomit brand is customer-centric, not ego-centric, and I really, really liked that line. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, I hate seafood, but if I wanted to open a restaurant in New Orleans, I'd be foolish not to offer crayfish, crawfish, and all kinds of other gross shellfishy types of food. Yeah, the market doesn't care what we want. Nobody cares even about our business, about our success. They want to know what we can do for them to make their life better. And only then, once we've served them, then they're like, oh my goodness, I want to keep this, I want to get their logo tattooed on me, you know, because then we've served them and that in a way that improves their life and their life. But yeah,
they feel cared about.
Yeah, I mean, so it's irrelevant what you care, what you prefer, what you like. You have to focus on what would be relevant to the market you want to serve. That's all that matters.
I have one more question about what's in the book specifically. You talked about people using reviews for the competition as information for their own business. And I feel like that's such a big opportunity that people are missing out on, like learning what it is their potential customers are choosing from their competition. Did you find that in your agency a lot? That this was a step people were skipping, like an opportunity they were missing out on?
I found it with my own company, actually, even before the agency, more so.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you mind if I elaborate really quickly?
Please.
Would you like me to elaborate?
I would love for you to elaborate. This is your show, Kevin.
Finally!
It only took 2 versions of the book.
Yes, minimum. So the problem a lot of brands make is because they're kind of into the thing that they sell, they tend to obsess over quality. And they think that what makes them amazing and what justifies their high prices, that they're the best quality of whatever. And what's fascinating when you explore reviews of products in your space, no matter what your space is that quality almost never comes up. It's other stuff. But the problem is we get in our heads because we take pride in, you know, the attention to detail for quality. So like I used to be in the window cleaning world. And so many window cleaning companies would obsess over being like the perfectly detailed window frame and window sill and like drips and edges and like, but what's hilarious is that sometimes you'd show up to clean somebody's house, they hadn't arrived yet, and they would come home after you had, like, just as you're getting your equipment out, and they'd say, oh, the house looks amazing. And you actually had not cleaned a single window yet.
Huh.
So to them, like, I guess if you wanted to be a bad person, you could just be like, thank you, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Take their money, drive away after like 1 minute. But the point is, like, they sometimes didn't even notice the details. They just wanted the peace of mind that they invested in somebody to clean their house. So it's usually other stuff. Like it's about how quickly they can get it, or it's about the variety that's available, or it's about flexible scheduling, or, you know, like my book has 1,300 different words to kind of stimulate you as to what might be relevant to the people that you want to serve.
Interesting.
And it's usually not quality. Like, as long as quality is a bare minimum, then the person is looking for something special, something else. Like, it'd be like if you're trying to sell a smartphone now and you say it's the highest grade
non-iPhone.
Not an iPhone. I am switching back to iPhone. And if you tried to say, like, it's the highest grade whatever, like, screen, well, nobody cares. That's not relevant, because guess what? All smartphones have like super awesome screens now.
Right.
But if you're like in smartphone screen world, you might lose sight of the fact that that's irrelevant. That's no longer resonating with the people that you want to serve.
Right, because you care about it so much, but that's not what matters.
Right. So that's where the egocentric versus customer-centric really bites you in the butt, is that you lose perspective on what's actually relevant to the people that you're serving.
I love that.
And
Thank
the crocodile. Oh, you're welcome.
So switching gears just a little bit, I'm curious what fears, if any, came up for you while you were writing this book. Because it's kind of a bold book.
Yeah, I mean, you always fear that the book's going to be, people are going to think it's dumb. People are going to feel like they wasted their money on it. You're not going to be introducing innovative ideas. You're not going to be practical. You're not going to be thought-provoking. You're going to feel like you don't offer any fresh insights. All that stuff. The one advantage I had is that I had written a couple of books before this one. So I had kind of worked through most of those fears, but they don't fully go away.
The typical writer fears of, like, imposter syndrome, not enough, what I'm writing is crap.
Yeah, anything creative even, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, anytime it's art, you worry that people are going to think it's terrible, and yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
We've done that, but thankfully the flip side is that all you need is like a couple of people who aren't your mom.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, maybe I did make something cool. Maybe it's cool. And eventually, I mean, I'm getting to the point now where I'm almost writing things for myself now, which I've learned, thanks to some insight from some really smart people that are a couple steps ahead of where I want to be, that's really where you start to create the best work, where you stop caring about what other people might think because you're doing it for yourself, because of the joy of it, and also because you wish somebody had written this book and it doesn't exist yet, so you write it for yourself.
Interesting. And how does that approach differ from being egocentric versus customer-centric?
Yeah, so with books, I think it's egocentric at that point.
Got it. Okay.
It switches.
Yeah.
It's like Tom York, he says he's never written anything for anybody except himself. Mm-hmm. And even Kurt Cobain, near the end of his life, he's like, well, I don't even know why people like my music. Like, I didn't write it for them. I wrote it for himself. So, I mean, ultimately, that's where the authenticity starts to really come on strong. And hopefully it will resonate. I mean, even if it's only 1 out of 10,000 people that you speaking to yourself resonates with, it's going to be so like intense and strong and concentrated. It's a big world. Like, that's still millions of people. No, maybe not millions. That's a lot. Anyway,
it's a lot of people. I won't hold you to that math.
I guess not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah, 800,000. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
What did your book launch look like for this? Because it's a different style of book. I mean, it's a higher price point. I'm not sure if you did the free ebook model to get a bunch of sales thing. I'm just curious, like, how did you launch a book like this?
That book is actually, here's something you might not know. That book I actually wrote 4 years ago.
This one?
That one.
This version.
Oh, that version.
Well, I'm curious about all of it. Yes, take me back.
Yeah, so that version is basically only different in that I've added a few more examples and I've built out a whole bunch of exercises to make it practical. But I released the book back in 2013.
Okay.
And I did nothing to like promote it or launch it or to build a list or to draw attention to it. I just kind of put it out there and people started grabbing it, and it became a bestseller on Amazon for the category, which kind of surprised me. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
What's the category?
Marketing and advertising.
Okay.
The global category. And
congrats.
then immediately I started to get like worried, like, oh, I wish the book was better, because I started to notice stuff in it that I didn't love. So I pulled it off the market in 2014 because I wanted to start working on the second edition. And what's funny is that on Amazon, when you pull the plug on the book, all that's left now in terms of supply is whatever the resellers had picked up to flip out to the market. And what happened is that the book started to turn into whale vomit. Mm-hmm. And the price started to go through the roof for the book. So the first edition actually sold for $24 on Amazon.
Oh.
4 years ago, yeah. But in 2015, there were only a smattering of resellers left, and my book, I have some screenshots, it's pretty funny. My book was selling for $9,000 a copy last year.
Do you get a cut of that?
No! They bought my book for like $17, but they were selling my book for $9,000 on Amazon.
And people were paying it.
I don't know. I hope not, because you can get the second edition for only $70.
Yeah.
So that tells $1,000. But and the second edition is so much better too. But it's funny because my book is, I think, a pound or like 1.6 pounds or something. So my book on the whale vomit method actually cost the same amount as whale vomit, due to the whole
I'm so glad that you took us there.
Yeah. But with the second edition, I actually had done nothing to promote it. I put the website together, I put it on Facebook, and people have just started to share it and get it and love it and rave about it. And it just makes me happy to see that happening. I'm in this weird place now where I'm shifting away from the agency model.
Yeah, great segue. I wanted to talk about that before we wrap up.
All right.
So, obviously we've chatted offline about this, but tell me about the decision to make that transition and what's been awesome about it, what's been scary about it.
Yeah, so earlier this year, I was in kind of a really dark place just because of some personal stuff that had happened. And I had never explored even personal development stuff ever.
Until this year.
Pardon me?
Until
this year. And a friend of mine reached out to me who works closely with Brendan Burchard and said, you should come to this thing in San Diego in March called High Performance Academy. So there's 2,000 people. It's amazing. I have this VIP ticket for you. You can sit in the second row. I'll give you the ticket if you just come. And I was like, Up until that point, like if I ever met somebody who was into Tony Robbins or Brendan, I'd be like, oh, good for you. Isn't that nice? And I was very condescending and dismissive about it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I basically ignored this whole world.
Which now you are diving into.
So the event in March was 4 days in San Diego. It was transformative. I came home. I started raving to people. Oh, my goodness, here's all the stuff I learned. Like, it's not just, you can do it, Kevin, but it's also, and here are the 50 frameworks to scaffold you up on the way to your goal to make it reality.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked by the practical side, the pragmatic side, and the empirically based process. It's not just anecdotal and silliness, but it's actually legit.
That's why I love the type of coaching that we do.
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, I came home and started raving to my clients and my friends, and they were like, look at you right now. Like, you're good at marketing, but look at you. Like, you're so lit up. This might be your thing. And I just thought more about it, and I realized I think it is my thing. So a couple months ago, and I guess a few months, I don't know how long ago, in June, went to San Diego, and got officially certified by Brendan and the High Performance Institute as a certified high performance coach. And my beta program is launching, and I'm having strategy calls, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm immersed in this direction now, so.
That's amazing. And so what has been the feedback from your clients and your friends?
They love being challenged. That's the biggest piece of feedback I've got, Kimberly, that's really kind of resonating with me. Like, it's our job as coaches to push people.
Yeah.
And if we don't push people, we're not serving them. Especially people that have already achieved a certain level of success, but know they're capable of more. What's missing and to get them to move that needle is somebody on them.
Yeah.
To challenge them and to call them on their excuses.
Can I ask you what has been a big takeaway or breakthrough that you had, either while we were at Certification Week receiving the coaching, or since we've left and you've been receiving coaching?
I think the intention piece. A lot of people talk about living life with focus and intention and presence. But all you have to do is ask them one more question, they get stuck. You can be like, cool, yeah, you should live life with presence. Yes, you should be focused and you should be intentional. But then if you ask them okay, so what's your intention? And they're like, to be a good person. It's well, that's pretty ambiguous.
Yeah.
Kind of nebulous. How about for you? What goals are you working towards? What's specifically your intention as a person, over the next 6 months even? Who do you want to be? Have you given thought to that? So for me, I've been able to kind of refine that down to 3 words.
I was going to ask you 3 words.
You want to know my 3 secret words?
They're not secret.
They are.
I've shared mine publicly, and people have taken that and
share mine.
implemented it in their own lives.
It's true. I should share mine too. So in terms of who I want to be and who I need to be able to reach my goals, it's always changing. But right now, my 3 words that give me like focused intention every day are creative, which doesn't surprise you with like this really bad painting and everything else I'm doing. And
badass painting.
no, thank you. It's pretty impressive, monster. And courageous. I need to be courageous to be able to step up and develop new behaviors and fill in the gaps and have difficult conversations and do things that I've been hiding from, and take steps that I've just been avoiding. And kind. I want to be kind. And that's when I learned really strongly from my dad that has always resonated with me. Always a kind man. And I want to be that person as well. I want to be kind, courageous, and creative. And that's the intention that I approach my day with, is to be that guy.
I love that.
That's my biggest takeaway, just my gut reaction to your question.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the words are really powerful. Every client that I share them with, every day that they go off on my phone, I have a little alarm set that reminds me of my 3 words, 10:15 a.m. every day. It's like such a good reset, such a good recalibration of what it is that I'm doing and how I'm showing up.
So what are your words?
My words are intentional, inspiring, and radiant. Are you writing my words down?
No.
I saw that pen and paper action going on.
No, I'm just writing, just doodling. Intentional, inspiring, and radiant. That's good. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, they feel good.
And for what it's worth, I feel you're doing a great job of living into those words.
Thank you.
So far.
We're only an hour in.
Yeah. Good job.
So, Kevin, before we wrap up, I want to make sure that everyone knows where they can get more information about your coaching, get more information about the book. So what is the best place for us to send them to?
So for coaching, I would say go to meetkev.com.
meetkev.com.
Got it.
And we'll have that in the show notes as well.
Okay. And for the book, just go on Amazon and Google Whale Vomit Method 2nd edition.
Cool.
Just Google Whale Vomit Method. Yeah, I guess you can't go on Amazon and Google it. Doesn't make sense. Whale Vomit Method 2nd edition, and it's all over Amazon. And yeah, you'll get it.
Awesome.
No,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the book is... So the book is $70, I believe.
68 USD.
Yeah, 68 US was like $100 Canadian or 100 and something Australian or whatever it is. So here's the promise I make. If you get your hands on that book, I want you to study the book. I want you to use it. I want you to dog-ear the pages. I want you to get out the highlighter and scribble in it. I want you to do the exercises. Start using it in your business. Use it for a year. Like, I don't care. Use it for 3 years. If at the end of that time, if after a year you don't think that I'm the biggest moron for not making you pay $1,000 for that book, then just send it back. And my address is actually inside the front cover of the book. You can mail it back and I'll give you a full refund. So that's I mean that. I mean every word of that. So yes, it might be the most expensive book you ever buy, but it will also give you 10 times your investment in terms of ROI. So keep that in mind.
I definitely paid more for textbooks in college, which I don't remember any of what was inside. So
there you go. See, so it's not even expensive. It's only $70.
Pocket change.
Yeah. Pocket change. I was talking to you. Sorry.
Well, on that note, before we end, I have 2 final questions that I ask at the end of every interview.
Oh
yeah, get ready. But before we get to those, I do want to acknowledge you for the book. I think that it not only empowers people with like the content that's inside, but I know that I mentioned this earlier, every detail in this book was intentional. I know we spoke about this offline, that you designed it, and you know, every font, every image, every exercise has been really inspiring for me as I'm working on my book, which you can kind of see the layout of on my wall behind me. And it's given me new ideas about what's possible for my book. So I'm like very grateful that I've been able to get my hands on it. Feels great. It's beautiful. So I want to acknowledge you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Yeah.
You're welcome. So the last two questions. What is your definition of being bold? What does boldness mean to you, or leading a bold life?
Not playing small, not being afraid to succeed.
I like it. Straight and to the point. And lastly, Kevin, what is your why? Your life has changed a lot over the past 9 months. So I would not be surprised if this has evolved, but what is your current why?
My current why is that I've experienced what it feels like to stop being afraid, and to start courageously moving closer to the things that matter to you, and to start courageously living as the person you want to be, and to be willing to put in the work to affect that change. And I know based on the conversations I've had that I'm not alone. And almost everybody we meet, Kimberly, is interested in being that person, that version of themselves. And the only thing standing between that person and who they are today is a little bit of help, a little bit of intentionality, and a few tools. And we can help them to get there. So that's my current why, for sure.
Awesome. Do you mind if I challenge you a little on that?
I want you to.
Yeah? So do you feel like being courageous involves lack of fear, or involves taking the action in spite of the fear? Like, do you genuinely feel no fear now as you move forward in this new phase of your life? Or are you just so determined that you're doing it no matter what fears come up?
I don't think there can be courage in the lack of fear, can there?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think you can call it courage. Maybe I'd call it obliviousness, or, no. So I mean, it's not. I am definitely not living a life without fear. I'm trying to be courageous regardless of fear, despite the fear. I'm trying to make the courage stronger than the fear.
Love it. That's what I was looking for.
All right.
Awesome. Well, Kevin Dubrosky, author of The Whale Vomit Method. Check it out. It's been so nice getting to chat with you. I'm so grateful. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Big thank you to Kevin Dubrosky and The Whale Vomit Method. If you want a chance to win your copy of Kevin's book, jump on over to theboldlifemovement.com/061 and enter for a chance to win now. Kevin and I chatted a bit on today's episode about the power of high performance coaching and how it's already made huge shifts in both of our lives. If you're interested in taking your life to the next level and you know that you need support to get the clarity and courage necessary to do so, then I invite you to apply for a free strategy session with me. This is a complimentary high-performance coaching session for individuals who are committed to raising their performance in all areas of life. Get more details about what this entails and see if you're qualified at theboldlifemovement.com/HPC. Again, that's theboldlifemovement.com/HPC.